أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
पनाह मांगता हूँ अल्लाह की शैतान मरदूद से।
बिस्म इल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम
अल्लाह के नाम से जो रहमान और रहीम है।
Assalamu alaikum brothers and sisters, and welcome to my show Future Stars. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi, and today we decided we would talk about Eid as it's coming up in the next few days, and we decided that we'll just give you some preparation tips and also a few stories relating to Eid, as this is the Eid after Hajj, so we'll just be giving you a few stories and also answering a few questions. So to join me today we have Sister Sanya, and she'll be joining in by reading a few poems, stories, and also answering a few questions just to give you some facts about today's topic. So to start off, we'll have Sister Sanya, and she'll be reading a poem for us about Eid al-Adha.
Join the festival of sacrifice. To Ibrahim we give thanks, willing to give all to prove his faith, gathering together for food and love, for shelter and friends here till the end. Prepare your best outfit, mosque is ready to greet, bring the finest gift you may meet. Give praise to Allah, no identity so perfect, no prophet too pure. From hardship of life he gives you cure, grace so sweet, reprieve from strife. The prayer is whispered, we loudly rejoice. Thankfulness lives in the heart, mind and voice.
Mashallah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that poem with us. So that was just a short poem just to explain a few things about Eid and also giving you a few tips on what you can do on the day of Eid. So now we're going to move on to some information that I have here, and this is just to give you some background information about Eid al-Adha and also talking a bit about Hajj and also talking a bit about why we have Eid al-Adha. So Islam is one of the most widely practiced religions in the world. The festivals are filled with traditional values, feelings of togetherness and lots of bright colours, great food and above all, a festive spirit which grabs the attention of one and all. There are two main festivals which are called Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Eid al-Adha is a festival which is known as the festival of sacrifice. It is known by many different names in many different countries. It comes in the month of Dhul Hijjah, which is a month of the Islamic lunar calendar, and it starts on the 10th day of this month and then goes on for 4 days. About 70 days after the holy month of Ramzan is when pilgrims would have visited the holy shrine in Mecca called Hajj, and then the next day, when it's finished, is called Eid al-Adha. The celebration usually starts with a prayer, which is normally short, and there is a sermon which gives a message to everyone celebrating this festival. Prophet Ibrahim, according to a psalm, was ordered by Allah to come to a particular mountain with only his son and sacrifice him there. Prophet Ibrahim did not question Allah even though his only son was born after many long years after waiting. On the mountain which he was about to sacrifice his son, he was commanded to stop and to sacrifice a lamb instead, which was present in the bushes behind them. This thus is a festival to commemorate his willingness to sacrifice his only son at the command of Allah. Eid al-Adha is a time when people all over the world sacrifice a grazing animal such as a sheep or a cow to remember the willingness that Prophet Ibrahim ﷺ and the greatness of Allah. Every Muslim male and female will sacrifice an animal. Sacrificing a goat will suffice for one person, and sacrificing a cow will suffice for 7 people. Many people uses this to commemorate the festivities. A feast is held where everyone sits together and eats the meat of the sacrificed animal mentioned before. Many poor people who can't afford to eat meat or sacrifice an animal often go around and find other animals which are given to them by neighbours. This festival is celebrated in its true essence. People wear new clothes, they dress up in bright colours, and a lot of tasty dishes are prepared, which are rare delicacies, and gifts are given to one and all. The customs of each country are followed, and the poor are fed through the sacrifice of the animals. Only Eid al-Adha, it falls on the same day in the Islamic lunar calendar. So that was just some background information talking about Eid al-Adha and also mentioning about the history of Eid al-Adha, relating it back to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, and talking about the sacrifice on the mountain, just to give you some information on why we actually celebrate Eid al-Adha. So now I'm going to move on to a few questions, and these few questions are just going to give you some facts about Eid al-Adha and also a bit more background information. So first of all, I'd like to ask Sister Sanya, what is Eid al-Adha the festival of?
Eid al-Adha is the festival of sacrifice.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And before we continue with more questions, we have a caller on the line. So hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Okay, and what would you like to share with us today?
I'm to recite the Noha.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, please feel free to start.
Yes. आज भी ज़हनाब की आती है सदा पाई हुसैन तेरा चेहरा तेरी आंखें बुबाई हुसैन आज भी ज़हनाब की आती है सदा पाई हुसैन तेरा चेहरा तेरी आंखें. That's it.
Mashallah, thank you very much, and mashallah, that was beautifully recited, and thank you very much for calling in just to share that with us. So mashallah, thank you very much for calling in, and also if anybody else would like to phone in, the number's at the bottom of your screen, and you can call in to recite something like our last caller did, or maybe you'd like to ask a question or even comment on today's topic, so the number's at the bottom of your screen. So previously we were just going through a few questions, and we're just going to continue with a few more questions just to give you some facts about Eid al-Adha. So first of all, I'd like to ask Sister Sanya, what happens before Eid al-Adha?
Before Eid al-Adha, the journey of Hajj is done.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And in which month is Eid al-Adha in?
Eid al-Adha is in the month Zul Hijjah.
MashaAllah, thank you very much. And Eid al-Adha celebrates the sacrifice of which prophet?
Eid al-Adha celebrates the sacrifice of Prophet Ibrahim.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for answering those questions. So just a few questions relating back to information read previously and also giving you some more information about Eid al-Adha. So now we're going to move on to another poem that Sister Sanya has for us, and this is just another poem about Eid al-Adha and give you some more background information.
We celebrate Eid al-Adha and the Hajj, in which the rewards are much. Eid al-Adha is a reminder of Ibrahim sallallahu alayhi wasallam's sacrifice, which shows us how many ways Allah is nice. But we run between mountains of Safa and Marwa since it was done by Bibi Hajra. Hajj is about equality, forget your own individuality. Doing the rituals in a few days for cleaning your slate, this is one of the ways. The reason for this Eid leads back to Ibrahim sallallahu alayhi wasallam's story, but we remember that only Allah deserves all glory.
MashaAllah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that poem with us. So just another poem, and this poem gave more information about Hajj and more information about how Hajj relates to Eid al-Adha. So now I'm going to move on to a story that I have. And because we're just going to be talking about the preparation of Eid and what you can do to prepare for Eid, which is coming up in a few days' time, I have a story here about a cat who is going to be celebrating Eid as well. It was the morning of Eid, and Aisha the cat was in her garden. There was a nice breeze that blew amongst the pretty flowers. There were red roses, golden tulips, and pretty daisies. A robin flew past. Assalamu alaikum, Aisha, happy Eid. Mr. Bunny also came hopping down the path. He didn't see Aisha until he bumped straight into her. Oh, Assalamu alaikum, sorry I bumped into you, but I have to get ready for my guests. Oh dear, said the cat. I forgot that everyone is coming to my house tonight for Eid dinner. Aisha ran down the path to her house. She ran so quickly that she bumped into a tree and her glasses came off. Oh no, she said. Now what shall I do without my glasses? Just then, the bear named Abdullah and his sister Fatima were walking down the road. They tried to help Aisha the cat find her glasses. They looked around, and when they looked, they couldn't find her glasses. Then Abdullah sat down and her glasses were under him. How awful, my glasses! Now what am I going to do? Said Aisha the cat. I'm so sorry, said the bear. I'll go and buy you some new ones. That's okay. It wasn't your fault after all, Aisha said. So she put on her glasses that were broken and went into her house. But because they were broken, they were smudged and everything looked foggy. Said Aisha. There is a fog in the house. I can't have that for Eid dinner. She opened up the window to shoo out the fog, but the fog wouldn't go away. So she went into the kitchen to make Eid dinner, but she bumped into the stove. She went to the refrigerator and couldn't tell what food was what. Instead of milk, eggs and butter, she picked up golf balls, cream and cheese that was next to the refrigerator. The poor cat said. There is something wrong with my food. The eggs are too hard, the butter smells funny, and the milk is just like cream. Now what shall I do? Aisha went to the cupboard. I guess I'll just have to fix something else, she said as she looked around at all the food, but she couldn't read any of the labels on the food. Then all of a sudden, the plates on the second shelf came down with a very loud crash. Aisha became so upset and started to cry. What would she say in front of all of her friends? Just then, she heard a knock on the door. Who is it? She asked. She cleaned her glasses to see, and everything wasn't so foggy anymore. She saw the robin, Mr. Bunny, Fatima, Abdullah, and many of her other friends. And they all had something to eat with them. How lovely, now we can all have Eid dinner, said Aisha the cat. So with everyone's help, it turned out to be one of the greatest Eids ever. So that was just a story using animals as an example, and this was just to explain about the preparation of Eid. And obviously Aisha the cat couldn't prepare her own food, but her own friends came along with food just to help her out, and they all had a lovely Eid together, which is something that you could do. So if you're going to someone's house, maybe you could take something along with you just to make your Eid a lot better with all your friends. So that was just a quick story, and now we're going to move on to some more questions, and these are just going to give you some more facts about Eid al-Adha. So first of all, we've been talking about that animals get sacrificed on the day of Eid, which was mentioned earlier in a piece of information that I read. So I'd like to ask Sister Sanya, what kind of animals would be sacrificed on the day of Eid?
Camels, cows, sheep, lambs or goats can be sacrificed.
Mashallah, thank you very much. And also we mentioned about a short Eid prayer. So how many rakats is the Eid prayer?
There are 2 rakats in the Eid prayer.
Mashallah, thank you very much. And who reads the Eid prayer?
Men, women and children can read the Eid prayer.
Mashallah, thank you very much. And what animals can be sacrificed by more than one person?
Cows and camels can be sacrificed for up to 2 people, and sheep and goats can be sacrificed for only 1 person.
Mashallah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for answering those questions. So those were just a few questions and some more information about Eid, and obviously relating back to some stories read earlier. So we're going to now continue with a few stories and a few more information about Eid al-Adha, but before we continue, we're going to go into a short break. So join us after the break for some more poems, questions and stories. Assalamu alaikum brothers and sisters, and welcome back to Future Stars. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi, and let me just reintroduce my guest. Today we have Sister Sanya, and she's been joining in previously on the show with stories and poems and also answering questions with our topic. And our topic is the preparation of Eid, and we've just been giving you some ideas on how you can prepare for Eid, which is in a few days, and we've just also been giving you some history behind Eid al-Adha. So now we're just going to continue with another poem that Sister Sanya has, and this is another Eid poem about how to celebrate on the day of Eid.
Eid is fun and great. It's time to celebrate. Eid Mubarak to everyone. Come on, let's have lots of fun. Everyone's going to the mosque to pray. People are grateful. It's a special day. The taste of the delicious food really puts you in a good mood. Everybody's wearing their posh clothes, and the guys are cruising in their flashy cars on the road. Children opening their gifts with smiles on their face and having fun going out to different places. All of a sudden the day comes to an end. Well, what can I say? Thank you for a lovely day.
Mashallah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that poem with us. So that was just a short poem just to reiterate the point of Eid al-Adha, and it's also just giving you an idea on what actually happens on the day of Eid. So now we're going to move on to some more history of Eid al-Adha, and it's just going to talk about the importance of Eid al-Adha and also the event that occurred, which was also mentioned previously. So Eid al-Adha is one of the most important festivals. It means the festival of sacrifice, and it remembers Prophet Ibrahim a.s.'s spirit of sacrifice and conforming to the command of Allah. It's celebrated on the 10th day of the 12th month, Zul Hijjah, and it occurs after the Hajj pilgrimage. The history of Eid al-Adha is that it dates back to the time of Prophet Ibrahim a.s. Prophet Ibrahim was commanded by Allah through recurring dreams to sacrifice his only son. Ismail, the son of Prophet Ibrahim, was just a young boy when Prophet Ibrahim told him about God's command. When Prophet Ibrahim a.s. went to the mountain to sacrifice his small boy, Allah voiced and said that he did not need to carry out his order, and he had passed the test of devotion. He was further instructed to sacrifice a lamb instead of his only son, hence why many people on the day of Eid sacrifice a lamb just to show the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim a.s. So that's just another short piece of information, and this just talks about the history and also talking about the event in more detail. So now we're going to move on to a few more questions, and first of all I'd like to ask Sister Sanya, do children go to school on the day of Eid?
Children may go to school, but on the first day of Eid it is best for them to stay home.
Okay, and mashallah, thank you very much for answering that question. And talking a bit more about children's role on Eid, do children get presents on Eid?
Yes, they should, because it is a day of celebration and children would love to get presents to celebrate with.
Mashallah, thank you very much. And talking about preparation of Eid and what children and parents can do, what can children actually do on Eid?
Children can go with their parents to pray in the mosque, and they can be sensible throughout the day as their parents will be very busy.
Mashallah, thank you very much. And what do we all do on Eid al-Adha?
On Eid al-Adha in the morning we go with our parents to the mosque to pray. Then we visit our family and friends or invite our family and friends back to our house. Then we have a big meal and there is lots of smiles. We always say Eid Mubarak.
Mashallah, thank you very much, and mashallah, thank you very much for answering those questions. So those are just a few questions and answers just to explain a bit more about the roles of children and also our roles on Eid al-Adha. So now we're going to move on to a few more stories, and this is just giving a bit more detail about Eid, and this is just a bit more information just to give you some information about the story of Prophet Ibrahim a.s. sacrifice and also what happens on Eid. So, as we can tell from before and previous information read out, that Eid al-Adha celebrates the occasion when Allah asked Prophet Ibrahim in a dream to sacrifice his son. And the devil actually tempted Prophet Ibrahim a.s. by saying that he should disobey Allah and not to spare his son, as it was his only son and they'd waited very long for a son. But Prophet Ibrahim didn't listen to the devil, and when he was about to kill his son, Allah stopped him and gave him a lamb to sacrifice instead. Now, the celebrations for Eid al-Adha is to commemorate the act of Prophet Ibrahim's sacrifice, and it's a public holiday in majority of Muslim countries. And to whoever can afford it, they would sacrifice a sheep, maybe a goat, or even a cow. And this is just a reminder of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam's obedience to Allah. And for those who cannot afford it, will often go to their neighbours or to the mosque to get their own meat from them. And it's shared out amongst family, friends, and the poor. And it usually starts with Muslims going to the mosque for prayers, and they're dressed in their best clothes, and they thank Allah for all the blessings that they have received. And at the day of Eid, it's a must for everyone to give a set of money to charity, as that's helpful to poor people to buy new clothes and food so they too can celebrate alongside you. So that was just a bit more information, explaining a bit more about the celebrations of Eid al-Adha. And to finish off, Sister Sanya will read for us a poem, and this poem will just summarise everything we've said earlier today, and it's just going to give you some information about the event that occurred leading up to Eid al-Adha.
I want you to take your only son and place him on the cold stone, then slaughter him like an animal, for my glory and my glory alone. Faithful Ibrahim obeyed in kind, bringing his beloved to be killed. His love for God was greater, a devotion that was fulfilled. His son strapped on the altar, the blade raised in the air, the hark to made him falter, of an angel that stood fair. His son was not to be taken, a ram was used in his place. They praised God for provision, in him their faith was based. Count the blessings in your life, the shelter and food bestowed. The festival of sacrifice is meant for this purpose alone.
Mashallah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for sharing that poem with us. So that was the event of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam's sacrifice in the form of a poem, and that's just summarising everything that we've been talking about today, and that also finishes off today's show. And I'd like to say, if anyone's missed out on previous shows or missed out on previous information on the show, you can check us out on YouTube, and the link will be on the bottom of your screen. And also, and if anyone would like to like our page on Facebook, the link will be at the bottom of your screen, and you can look at that. You can post any pictures of anything you're doing for Eid and just message us on that wall as well. And I'd like to say thank you very much for watching, and thank you to Sister Sanya for joining in today. Sister Sanya joined in with loads of stories, poems and answering questions. And thank you very much to the callers we had. So thank you for watching. I hope you're now a bit more prepared for Eid, which is happening in a few more days. I'm your host Alvia Zaidi, and this was Future Stars. Khud Hafiz.